any of us who have felt the call to understand who we are at a truer, deeper level will inevitably be dealing with the question of commitment to this journey. And to start this conversation or this sharing, I'd like to mention a quote that my teacher, which many of you know, first appeared to me as Jesus, until I understood that Christ consciousness is something that flows through each and every one of us. There is no separation. There is no such thing as, yes, we are different expressions through this physical body. I'm Susan, and there's Jesus, and there's you, and we're all different entities physically. But ultimately, we're one consciousness, and that's why Jesus in the Bible and many other spiritual leaders have said things along the lines of what Jesus said when he says, I and the Father are one. And further later on, he says, I am the light of the world. And then he says, you are the light of the world. What is he pointing to in each one of these? He's inviting us to recognize our oneness with all that is, that there is only one consciousness that is flowing through all of life and expressing different aspects of itself. And so, if we are looking to understand the truth of our being, then he's inviting us through his quote when he says, the lukewarm ones I shall spew from my mouth. What is he saying? Those of us, the you and I's of the world who are obviously called to go deeper, to understand who we are at a deeper level. Otherwise, you wouldn't be showing up on this YouTube channel. You'd be somewhere else looking for something else. That's just the way it is. And you may not even know what you're looking for at this point, and that's really cool too. It's all okay. But if you've stopped here for a moment, it's because you're on the path of recognizing. Because ultimately, there's no path. You already are the truth of your being. You already are infinite, omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient life force. That's what you are. It's, that unconditionally loving intelligence that's flowing through all of life is what you are. But you're here on this path to recognize that, because we all have a lot of conditioning that keeps us at a superficial level of understanding. So Jesus says, lukewarm yearning for awakening is not sufficient to sustain us through the difficulties involved in letting go. So why is it necessary to let go? What is he speaking of when he says to let go? Let go of all resistance. Let go of anything that is causing you to say no to what is. Okay, so as an example, what are the attachments that you have in your life? Things that you find yourself resisting, things that you want to cling to and keep, or things that you're refusing, absolutely refusing, and are completely saying no to, that happen to be in your reality. They're there. It's not as if you can choose not to experience them. You're experiencing them, and yet you're saying no to your experience. What happens when you say no? What happens when we're in resistance? Because ultimately, resistance is just an indication of an attachment to a belief that something should be different than it is. Otherwise, you wouldn't be resisting what is. It's because you're carrying a belief about yourself or about your world, about everybody in your world, everything in your world, people and circumstances and situations. You're believing that they're supposed to be something different than they are. But how can that be true? They already are. But because we have beliefs to the contrary, we're resisting. Now, why is not resisting so important? I remember Jesus, the first thing he said to me was, open your hands and say yes to everything. Everything, not just the fun things. Say yes to everything. Why did he say that? Everything is fundamentally bringing me home to the truth of my being. Everything is serving to reveal an aspect of myself that I have been resisting, that I have been rejecting. Okay? And often I'll see that aspect of myself in somebody else that's going to bother me. So what he's saying is, no more resistance. Why not resist? When you say no, you are literally shutting down your parasympathetic nervous system. Your mind, your brain has got you in fight, flight, freeze, defense mode. What happens when you're in that mode? Your vibrational frequency is such that you cannot connect with the deeper truth of your being, because that happens in the stillness of your being when there's no agitation. When you are in the stillness, Albert Einstein speaks of swimming in the silence. He says, I think 99 times and get nothing, and I swim in the stillness, and the truth is revealed. So Jesus is inviting us not to be lukewarm, because if we're lukewarm, we want to be open and receptive to a higher expression of ourselves, but we shut ourselves down to it because there's something that we're not enjoying, something that we're not comfortable with. That's all fear-based. So Jesus is inviting us to completely open and be resistance-free. And it's hard. It's the hardest thing you're going to do. But you know what? It is the path to your freedom. And when you sit with whatever is resisting and you ask yourself, what is it that I'm believing about myself, or about the person that I'm having this conflict with, or about the situation that I'm not accepting? You know, the lack of money in your bank account, or you've just found out that you've got something physically going on that you weren't expecting and it's really causing you strife. Whatever it is, I'm inviting you to trust that it is your sacred journey to awakening. Just like I allowed my childhood experience of incest to be the door that opened me up to seeking a deeper understanding. And today, I wouldn't change. I wouldn't trade places with anybody. Not anybody. It's been such a sacred journey. And so, if I want to leave you with something, is just to contemplate those things in your life, the attachments that you have, those parts of your life that either you're resisting and pushing against, or you're clinging to so desperately not to lose. I'd invite you to consider that it's because you've identified yourself with certain roles that you're playing in these different aspects of your life. I'll give you an example. My sons, I have twin sons of 29 years old, and still now I can find myself labeling my job as a mom and judging myself whether it's successful or unsuccessful as a parent. And as long as I'm doing that, I cannot possibly be in a state of unconditional love. And I am also counting on things outside of myself to validate my own worthiness. And that doesn't make any sense. Because when you recognize that you are the ocean, you are the vastness of the ocean, all the waves that come through, you can hold them in the light of your being. When you recognize that you're one with Source, the very Source that creates worlds, then there's no need to look for validation through other individuals that are on their own path to understanding. We only identify with our roles, with my mother, my role as a mother, my role as a sister, my role as an incest survivor, my role as a real estate superstar, my role as a coach, even my role as a self-realization coach. If I take that too seriously, it's because I've identified myself as being that, and ultimately, it's not true. me being a life coach, a success coach, or a self-realization coach is simply an expression of source flowing through me. It's a desire to be that expressed itself, and I just followed the path because it's not a personal thing. If you identify personally with something specific, then you'll find yourself attached to that thing and you'll never want to let it go because it's your identity. Who are you without it? So my invitation is to have a look at who you are without any other roles in your life. I was willing to completely let go of my sons. I even thought to push this to the end of it. What would happen if they died? Same thing with my heart project of self-realization coaching. Who am I if I'm not coaching? Am I still valuable? Am I still worthy of love? Am I still worthy when I look back to say that I had a good life, that I had a full life? Ultimately, truly, any of you that are on this path with me, you will never ever be satisfied with anything less than knowing the truth of your being. And I promise you, the only way that's going to happen is if you fully surrender the fight, if you fully surrender all of the resistance, just drop it all. Even drop the need to be on this path and to figure it out. Stop the trying. Open your hands. Be very present and say yes to everything that's unfolding. And I promise you, if you come into the stillness, like Albert Einstein says, swim in the silence, and the truth shall reveal itself. Jesus said, be still, and you shall know. The truth shall be revealed. So I'm inviting you to resist nothing. I'm inviting you to commit to not resisting anything. Because it's your freedom that awaits you. In the non-resistance, which kind of feels, paradoxical because there are many things in our life that we just don't feel like experiencing. Just know that you're not wanting to experience them out of fear. There's a fear there. There's a belief. What's going to happen if you face it fully? If you fully meet the fear that's there? In a next video or audio, I'm going to invite you to go deep with me within yourself into the silence, just to see that you can meet anything. What you are can hold in unconditional love, can meet and hold everything, and the light of your being shall inform whatever this is. The light of your being, when you bring light into something that is difficult, when you bring light into a room that is dark, darkness no longer exists. It's the same thing for fears. So anything that you're resisting, it's fear-based ultimately. It's fear-based based on something you're believing about yourself that's false. And the beautiful thing about our emotional guidance system is that it is telling you, just by the fact that you're feeling something that's not fun to feel, that off feeling is inviting you back into alignment with the truth of source. So as soon as you're feeling off, as soon as you're experiencing something that doesn't feel fun, stay with it, open to it, say yes to it. Each time you do this, there's a deepening in your intelligence. I love the way Ganji puts it. She says, you will love and you will be hurt. Your heart will be broken, and you will love and your heart will be broken, and you will love again and your heart will be broken again. And why would you continue that cycle? Because every single time your broken heart opens you into a deeper aspect of your being, a more true and powerful and unconditionally loving aspect of your being. So with all my love and all of my light, I wish you an absolutely beautiful continuation of your journey until we connect again.